place the strips on top of each other and you're looking to the wrong side of the black fabric. Take your template and place it on the right side of the strip. You can see there is a shadow of a 1/4 inch and you start exactly in that corner. You don't stop there, but you go all the way into the seam allowance. You start there, go all the way down. You don't stop there, but there. Always start with that back stitch. A back stitch is very important when you work with curves. When you assemble the pieces together, there will always some little tension on the seams. So that is the reason why you always start and end with the back stitch. This is the only waste that we have from the black fabric. Open it and finger press. Remember, when we make the stars, how important it is to finger press. You always prepare your seams before you continue. You can see there in the green is a little tiny mark, and that will match one of the stitching lines of the star. You match them, and now you use these small applique pins. But when you do that, you baste them, just what you have done in the star. You baste it. In fact, you do that with all 8 star points. This is part C, and you can see part C is the circle around the spikes, and we have a double seam allowance on the outside of the piece. Later on you will notice why it is so important. You take a piece of freezer paper and you place it over the template. Instead of using the template, we trace it. When you trace it with a dotted line. That is much more precise than to do it with a straight line, and try to be as precise as you can. And you can see the stitching line on the outside and the stitching line on the inside. Look at that. That is not a perfect 1/4 inch anymore. This is part D. Part D is the corner part in our quilt. This is the curvy side. When you stitch the curve, it grabs fabric from the outside of the corner part. That is why we attach that second seam allowance. When I place my fabric on top of my mat and I place my separate corner part on top of the fabric, I love to tape it. I think when I use my ruler and my rotary cutter, I think it's much more precise than cutting it with a scissor. And I tape it exactly next to the stitching line that are already, look at it, it will fit perfect. Take your ruler and your rotary cutter and you trim it. And here you can see that it is not a perfect 1/4 inch anymore. The straight grain of the fabric. It's also the longest side of your piece, and it has to attach to that side of the triangle. The straight grain, and has to attach to that side of the triangle. And the only thing that you have to do is take the piece and just place it on top of that straight grain of the fabric. You can see that we have enough fabric around the piece. There is the square, and if you see the size of the square, that's much bigger than what we need. I find out if you do it like this and you cut it in the right size, you have a problem, but this way it is so easy, and I show you how it works. You have the 2 strips for the inner border and the outer border. You place the strip for the outer border on top of the inner border, or we can call it the second sashing. If you place it on top, be aware that it has to be precise and leave some space on the outside. Take the template and place the template on top of the outer border. Check it if you do have enough seam over there in that corner. Check the other side, and you do have enough seam on that side as well, and you pin it. Now we have to attach it with a corner to the flying geese. But how do we do that? Place the pin exactly in the final stitch. Place a pin in the center mark and you place your pin at the end. I remove the foot of my sewing machine so you can see what I am doing. I place the needle exactly in that final stitch, not there, but I place it right there. Finally, we remove the last pieces of foundation paper from our seams. The only few pieces that are left in our top. And this is our final piece. I love it.